to do a story time today. I feel like I need to tell my story, and I feel like I can talk on this subject because I'm seeing something very scary happening, and people are choosing to do this eye color change procedure. It's getting a lot of views, it's getting a lot of people interested, and I'd just like to tell my story on how I went legally blind. 6 years ago, I traveled to Monterrey, Mexico, and had an eye color change procedure. Now I changed my eye color from brown to green. Yes, I know, self-inflicted, I understand. It was a cosmetic procedure, and I chose to do that. It was elective, and I knew the risks. I did know the risks, but I also did my due diligence with trying to do aftercare, and I had been in contact with a lot of people who had had the procedure done, and I felt like they had had no complications, and I went ahead with mine. My procedure went really well, and when I got back to Canada, I sought immediate aftercare with a Canadian eye doctor. They weren't happy with me, and they definitely expressed their concern, but they said, you know what, like, you still have 20/20 vision, everything looks great, we're going to check your endothelial cell count every 3 months, we're going to keep checking your pressure, we're going to keep doing these eye appointments every 3 months. So I did. I continued with aftercare, as you should after a procedure, for years. So let's fast forward to 4 years. I've already had these implants in my eyes, and people were reaching out to me from the previous contacts that have had their their implants longer than me, and they started saying, hey, just letting you know, like, I've come into complications, and I started seeing things pop up that was like a red flag. And I went to my eye doctor pretty much on a weekly basis in tears saying, I think something bad's gonna happen, please can we get these out of my eyes? And they gave me the ultimatum of, we're not able, as Canadian eye doctors, to touch your eyes. We're not able to remove the implant because there's nothing wrong with your eyes. So unless there's a problem with your eyes, they won't go operate. So they said to me, you would have to travel back to Monterrey, Mexico, to have the implant removed. They said, but we don't suggest it. We would like to just keep monitoring you, and we would suggest that you stay in Canada for your further eye care. I struggled with that choice because so many people were just having issues with them, and I knew it was a ticking time bomb in my eyes. I knew in my gut that something was going to happen. So I made the difficult decision and just hoped for the best. Kept going to my eye appointments every 3 months. Things seemed to be fine. Okay, so now I will tell the traumatic part of waking up just one day. Everything was normal the previous day. I open my eyes and I cannot see, foggy, and I cannot get a clear vision at all. I feel like I'm blinking a lot. I'm trying to clear my eyesight. And in my gut, I knew at that moment that this day has come. My ticking time bomb has just blown up. My entire world is about to change. I was so scared. Like, anyways, I'm sure you can imagine. So my vision was gone in one night. The next day, and I also knew with these implants that this day was going to come. And so, yeah, I had gotten into my real eye doctor. The prognosis was like, oh shit, this is a medical anomaly. Usually with eye problems, like eye doctors, the reason why I saw my eye doctor so frequently is like they can see that something is coming or something's wrong. Like, how was the implant able to just secretly destroy my vision overnight? And that's what it did. But basically, I'm just here to spread the word and tell my experience on how Any surgery to do with your eyes are so risky, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for vanity. If you are a person susceptible to seeing things on social media and thinking, oh, that's cool, it must, because we're seeing it on social media, it must be safe. It's not. These people are just trying to financially gain from harming people. And I know eye doctors are speaking out against it, and what they're doing now is having a laser tattoo your eyeball, so your whole cornea is being affected. Dye is being inserted. You could have an infection. You could have the cornea damage. I mean, it's not the same surgery that I put myself through, but I can promise you it's not safe, and it's definitely going to have complications down the road. They don't have the research on it, and your eyes are one of the most sensitive organs you have, and don't take it for granted. And please learn from my stupidity. I'm here to tell you all. My vanity and the urge to have green eyes like my mom took me to a very dark place, and I lost my sight for 2 years of my life, and I'm still recovering from all of that trauma that I experienced. And it's very hard for me to see these new social media posts gaining traction. I just want to make sure that my voice is heard. So, let me know if you guys want to know more about the procedure. It's hard for me to talk about, but I'm definitely ready to start talking about it. So thanks for listening.
She woke up one morning, opened her eyes, and could not see. Not blurry, not a little foggy, just gone. And her eye doctor had checked her eyes just weeks before and told her everything was perfectly fine. And this is what eye color change surgery actually does to people. And the reason you haven't heard these stories is simple. The damage doesn't show up until years later, long after the people selling you this procedure have already been paid. She did everything right. She went straight to a doctor when she got home. She showed up every 3 months for 4 years, and they kept telling her everything was fine, right up until the morning she couldn't see. Her local doctors could see the implants, they could monitor the pressure, but they would not remove them unless there was a documented emergency. By the time that emergency came, the damage was already done. Now, here's the part nobody talks about on social media. The people you see posting their fresh results haven't reached year 4 yet. That's why you don't hear these stories, not because they don't exist, because they take years to catch up. And the doctors performing these surgeries are not the ones living with the consequences. They post the before and after. The patient looks fine in 1 week. The doctor gets new bookings. By year 4, when things start going wrong, the patient is stuck navigating a foreign healthcare system while the original promotional video is still out there pulling in the next round of people. There is no accountability in the system. And that is not an accident. And this comes up in almost every single one of these stories. The surgery is done in another country. The patient flies home, and now they are stuck in a gap where local doctors can see the implant, they can monitor the pressure, but they will not operate unless there's a clinical emergency. Karina spent months at her doctor's office in tears, telling them something was wrong. They could not help her until it was too late. And that is the trap. And it is built into the process from the start. Let's watch a few more.
Yesterday I made a video saying I was super surprised to see that people are still getting this eye color change surgery when there have been countless stories circulating around the internet for the last several years about people who have regretted getting this procedure. Karina Kova, I hope that's how I say your name, is one of the first horror stories I ever saw. And she saw my video and put a very short Cliff's Notes version of what happened to her in my comments. But I just wanted to direct you to her page so that you can hear her experience of what this actually did to her eyes. She went blind for like 2 years. She had to have reconstructive surgeries. She went through so much pain, all for an elective cosmetic procedure that she had to have reversed. And the scariest part about it was that she was doing very diligent aftercare once she got this procedure. She was going to the eye doctor like every single week, and they were repeatedly telling her that everything was fine until she woke up one day and couldn't see. But because she'd gotten the implants done in Mexico and she lived in Canada, the Canadian eye doctors kept telling her like, hey, as long as there's nothing wrong with your eyes, we can't do anything about it. The reason why you don't hear a lot of horror stories about this on TikTok is because the horror stories don't really happen until several years after you've gotten the procedure. So the people that you're seeing talking about their new eye colors and they're really, really excited about it have not experienced the aftermath of the procedure yet.
If you are considering getting that eye color change surgery done where they like tattoo your eyeball to change the color of your eyes, please just take it from me and maybe reconsider getting that done, because I just witnessed someone who had that procedure done and it was jarring, to put it lightly. Like, it was not what I expected. Now you see, I was just going to the doctor for a regular checkup, but before my appointment I had to check in at the reception. So I go to the reception and there's this receptionist lady at the desk, and for some reason she's wearing these big blackout sunglasses, and I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of weird, like wearing sunglasses inside, but I didn't really think much of it at first. Anyways, she starts checking me in and she's really nice. She's like asking me all of the preliminary health questions, but she's also asking me about my day. Like, she's just being a really good receptionist. And then she asked me for my insurance and my ID. So I hand her my insurance card and my ID. She takes my ID, she takes my insurance, and as she's holding them, she like lowers her sunglasses to get a better look. And as soon as she lowers her sunglasses, I see these big neon green orbs she had for eyes. They looked like radioactive. And I know this is rude, but as soon as I saw her eyes, I had this guttural reaction out loud. I was just like, hello to everyone in the room. But after she heard me say that, her neon green eyes dart up at me and she's just like, hi, can I help you? And I had to think fast because I wasn't expecting that. So I was like, oh, your eyes are really cool. Mind you, I probably could have come up with a better response, but the pressure of her looking at me felt like she could like zap me at any given moment with her neon green eyes. Nonetheless, after I complimented her eyes and I was like, oh, your eyes are really cool, she goes on to be like, oh my gosh, you're the first person to compliment my eyes. Believe it or not, I actually just got them done. But I went on to be like, what do you mean you got them done? Because up until this point, I thought they were natural. I just thought they were a little crazy looking. She goes on to be like, I wasn't born with this eye color. I was born with brown eyes. I got this procedure where they tattoo your eyes to change the color. And I was just like, oh, cool. But she goes on and she's just like, yeah, I mean, I always dreamed of having hazel eyes. And now that we're living in the future, I can make that a reality. I could feel my face dropping in shock, because what do you mean you think your eyes are hazel? Her eyes were like highlighter green, and she was telling me with a straight face that her eyes were hazel. Bro, who's gonna tell her? I'm not gonna tell her. I didn't tell her. She's just a receptionist lady. She checked me in.
Pretty much no reason to get eye color changing surgery when colored contacts exist. I really don't understand at all. You could wear colored contacts every single day for the rest of your life and probably not even get close to a 16th of the cost of whatever that surgery is. And I wasn't sure if it was a Dr. Kim situation where people kept posting the directly after the facelift photos, because the doctor who keeps doing these eye color changing surgeries, you know, the second they wake up, they're like coming out of anesthesia and he's in their face with that TikTok camera. He's like, how does it feel? What do you think? And they're like sobbing and their eyes are bloodshot, but they look really bad. And I was looking at a bunch of healed versions afterwards, and they look actually significantly worse than colored contacts. Like they're very solid. They just look like you're wearing terrible colored eye contacts, except for the fact that you can't take them off. I've been around people who permanently use colored eye contacts, and it honestly takes you months to notice. Unless you're really, really looking into someone's eyes, you're not going to be thinking too much about whether or not they're wearing contacts, and it's normal to assume that they're not. Most of the time, the only reason you're going to find out is if they tell you, or if they're wearing a very, very shockingly unnatural color. But literally all of these eye color changing surgeries, like the result looks so much worse than just a colored contact. And sometimes it seems like, it almost looks like they're wearing a colored contact that's slightly off center, because it almost looks like it obstructs the pupil, or it's just not perfectly lined up with the pupil.
This entire phenomenon where certain people are going overseas and getting their eye color changed by having some very risky procedure where a little colored disc is put in their eye, and their eyes always look, obviously they're going to be a little irritated, but their eyes always look absolutely awful after, like literally medical emergency awful in some of these clips I've seen. And they're like, it looks really good, doesn't it? It looks really good. It's like, oh my gosh, just take it out. Jesus. I will never understand how it's worth it. I could never imagine messing with my eyes in any way, shape, or form. I wear glasses. I don't even have regular contacts yet, I honestly, which I want to get some soon, but I wear glasses, and you could never convince me to get LASIK. And I know it's worked for a lot of people, but Unfortunately, I have seen many very brave people come on this app and other apps, areas of the internet, and share horror stories from LASIK. And, it ruined my life and I'm half blind now and I have to take all this medication. And I have these special eye drops that are made from my own blood, like literally, like insane. And like I said, I really commend all these people for speaking up about it. But now that I know that there's a risk that could happen, I would never do LASIK. And I notice in a lot of videos, people that perform LASIK and own these practices, they have glasses. They don't have LASIK themselves. So I'm like, now, if you didn't have the procedure, then why the fuck would I get it? You could absolutely make the argument that because I have blue eyes, I just don't understand what it's like and I'll never get it. And that is a fair point. I'm just stating my opinion that you guys, I said this in previous video, you got to remember that these industries run off of your insecurities. Do not let it get to you. Please value what you have above all else.
This right here is an absolute disaster. Iris implants or iris color change surgery is why so many patients that did this surgery either got glaucoma or went permanently blind. This surgery is so dangerous and so risky that it actually was the #1 most dangerous cosmetic surgery that you could do, beating BBL by like 4 spots. The most wild part about this video is not the fact that this eyeball behind me is mangled. It's the fact that the doctor who posted this, who does keratopigmentation and eye color change surgery, is using this as a way to get patients of his to book color change surgeries. But yet keratopigmentation is not FDA approved and it is extremely risky as well, even though it's not as dangerous as iris implants. We've been doing keratopigmentation for blind eyes as a way to change the cosmetic appearance, but we haven't been doing it for that long on healthy eyeballs. I don't know about you, but I would never pay money to risk my vision, especially in healthy eyes, because there are people out there that wish they had the vision we did.
Making this video to raise awareness for something that's extremely dangerous, that's not being spoken about for whatever reason. So please bear with me as this video is very difficult for me to make.
The last video I made on eye color change surgery prompted you guys to tag this girl in my comment section. And to be honest, this story is absolutely heartbreaking. This right here is Dina Khalil, and she's been an Instagram influencer for such a long time, and she opens up on her TikTok about how she went through color change surgery and how it completely changed her life. Believe it or not, there are many different types of surgeries that can be done to change the color of the eye, and unfortunately, the one that she got was something called iris implants. Unlike my previous video on keratopigmentation, keratopigmentation is more of a tattooing of the cornea rather than an implantation of almost like contact lenses in the actual eye to create that color change. And the problem with the iris color implants is that the complication rate is through the roof. This research article, along with many other, have found a complication rate of nearly 70% in patients that got iris implants. That means that 70% of the patients that had this done needed the implant to be removed because of either glaucoma or inflammation within the eye we call uveitis. If you're not familiar what glaucoma is, it is a high pressure inside the eye that can lead to blindness, and it is a painless disease, meaning there are no symptoms that you can catch at home. Usually, 99% of patients that get glaucoma get it in their late 60s, have some form of family history, and it takes on average 10 to 20 years to see some form of blindness occur. Now, with the iris implant, the secondary glaucoma can be so severe that we are seeing patients in their 30s go blind in a matter of years. While iris implants are much more severe than getting keratopigmentation, I can tell you that we do not have enough studies on this technique to effectively say that it is safe enough that you will not go blind. In fact, the FDA and the American Ophthalmology Association has warned everyone to not go through with this surgery because of the risks associated. The moral of the story and the moral of her video is that she's trying to tell her followers the right thing. If you have great vision and you are trying to just change the color of your eye for vanity, it is not worth the risk. There are people out there that are blind that wish they had great vision, and the last thing you want to do is put it all on the line for vanity.
I actually just saw somebody last week, I think, who had these iris implants done in another country, abroad. I don't want to say which country, but this guy basically was living a very normal life, no problems with his eyes whatsoever, and decided all of a sudden that he was not happy with his brown eyes, and then went to this country to do iris implants in green. And so he came to us a few months back with problems with eye pressure, and so his eye pressure would get really high, and so that causes his cornea, the front part of his eye, to swell. And at the same time, these implants had moved, and so they were covering his pupil. And so what we could see through the central area of those implants was actually his own iris. So there was nowhere for the light to go into his eye, right? Because you know how we have that colored part in the eyes called the iris? There is a central area that's called the pupil. That's where the light goes through to the back of the eye so you can see. So his iris implant had actually moved in a way that it was now covering his pupil. So he literally could not see. So first surgery we did is to remove those implants. And because they were there for a while, they had caused such a lot of inflammation that they were stuck to all the other structures in the eye. So they were stuck to his own iris. So his own iris is now completely distorted. He had so much inflammation in the eye that his cornea was so swollen that now he actually needs a corneal graft to replace the inner layer of his cornea so that the eye stops swelling all the time. And he has so much damage in the back of his eye and his optic nerve from glaucoma, because those implants were blocking the little area where the water gets out of the eye to drain all around it so that the pressure doesn't stay up. And so it's really a heartbreaking story in a young gentleman who literally had absolutely no issues with his eyes and went for this completely aesthetic procedure that honestly I do not like, and I would never recommend to anybody, just to change the color of his eyes to now find himself with very, very limited vision. He's almost legally blind in one eye, and the other one we're still trying to save. And so all of these surgeries that he will need down the line for the corneal transplant, for the pressure, for restoring his own iris and giving him a new pupil. So all of this is done at multiple stages, and so he's going to be back and forth all the time, doing all of these surgeries and then coming back for the follow-ups and then taking all of these medications, and then he's probably going to have to be managing his glaucoma, his high eye pressure, for a very long time, probably for life. And so iris implants are here and are available for a lot of really good reasons. Some people after ocular trauma, they end up not having an iris at all, having a distorted iris, which causes them to be very sensitive to light. And in cases like these, iris implants can be extremely valuable for eye surgeons. There are also cases where people are born with something called aniridia, where they don't have an iris. And so for particular reasons like these, iris implants can be a great tool that your eye surgeon can use to help you either see or have a better vision. But for completely aesthetic purposes in a completely normal eye, I do not think personally that it is worth going for it with all the possible complications that come from intraocular surgery alone, and then put in a device right there that, one, disturbs the flow of the water inside the eye, which causes high eye pressure, and maybe touching your own cornea, which can cause it to swell. And that's just some of the complications that we can see with these implants. Those are my 2 cents when it comes to iris implants. My experience has only been with dealing with complications in patients who go and get them for aesthetic purposes.
That statistic the doctor mentioned is not a small print warning. A 70% complication rate means that if you put 10 people in a room who got iris implants, 7 of them developed glaucoma, severe inflammation, or needed surgical removal. 7 out of 10. That is not a rare edge case. That is the most likely outcome. And the case he described, the young man whose implant physically shifted inside his eye and covered his pupil, that is a direct result of putting a foreign object inside a living eye. The pupil is the opening that lets light reach the back of your eye. When something blocks it, you cannot see. It is that simple. Because the implant had been there long enough, it had fused to the surrounding tissue. Removing it damaged his natural iris. Now he needs a corneal graft. He is managing glaucoma likely for life, and he is almost legally blind in one eye. He had perfect vision before he walked into that clinic. Inflammation that sits in your eye for years is what quietly builds glaucoma, corneal swelling, and permanent nerve damage. It does not go away. It accumulates until one day it doesn't. I am not going to sit here and say this is just about vanity and people should know better. Karina said it herself. She wanted green eyes like her mother. That is not a shallow reason. That is a very human one. The problem is that an industry learned how to take those feelings and turn them into a procedure that is not safe, performed on people who are not fully informed, with no real follow-up care once they fly home. Social media made it worse because the algorithm does not care about year 4. It rewards the exciting before and after content from week 1. By the time the complications show up, there are no cameras around. Properly fitted colored contacts exist. They look natural, they can be removed, they cost a fraction of the price, and they do not carry a 70% complication rate. Most people around someone wearing colored contacts do not even notice unless they are told. The surgical results we watched today looked more unnatural than a good pair of contacts, and they are permanent. What about keratopigmentation? Is it a safer version? You heard the doctor mention it. It is a tattooing of the cornea rather than an implant, and it does not carry the same catastrophic risks as iris implants. But here's what he also said. We have not been doing this on healthy eyes long enough to know what the long-term consequences are. It is not FDA approved. The American Ophthalmology Association has warned against it, and the doctors currently offering it for cosmetic purposes are using botched iris implant cases to make their own procedure look safe by comparison. And that is not a safety record, that is marketing. Until there is a decade or more of real data on this being done on healthy eyes, we simply do not know what it does over time, and your eyes are not the place to find out. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. The glaucoma caused by these implants can progress in people in their 30s in just a few years. It is painless. You will not feel it coming. By the time vision loss begins, the nerve damage is already permanent. Karina did not feel it coming. Her doctors could not see it coming either. She just opened her eyes one morning and it was already done. That is not a rare worst-case story. That is a 70% likely outcome of a procedure that people are still booking today, right now, after watching a TikTok.
Yo! Hey, what's going on? What's with the sunnies inside? Oh, nothing. Are you wearing contact lenses or?
No. What do you mean?
That's definitely not your natural eye colour.
Yeah, no, I got them changed.
When?
Today.
It looks kind of fucked.
What do you mean? Well, you don't...
Is it permanent?
Yeah.
Forever.
What's wrong with it? So what? You dyed your hair fucking blonde that time and then that's fine, but I can't get my eye colour changed.
It's just a crazy choice.
I reckon it looks fine. Kind of burns a bit though.
If you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Creators' handles are in the description box below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.